Hello everyone, welcome to the AWS Studio. Today we are bringing a very exciting session. We're going to talk about a very innovative solution that just launched to the market with our great partner Vonage. It's for fraud protection, combining Vonage's communication and network APIs with AWS generative AI powered by Amazon Bedrock. I'm Arsany, Basta. I'm in the business development at the telecom business unit at AWS. I'm very happy to have Guillaume Calot from Vonage with us. Welcome to the AWS studio, Guillaume. Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Absolutely. Well, thanks a lot for having me. I am Guillaume Calot. I'm the Vice President in charge of partnerships at Vonage. I've been with Vonage for the past 5 years now, and I'm based in San Francisco. I've been working since then with AWS, and I'm super excited to have a chance to introduce you to this new fraud protection solution on the AWS marketplace.
Thank you for being here. For Vonage, it has been a very exciting year. So we see Vonage playing a great role in this new innovative place with network APIs. Tell us a bit more about what have you done in 2023 for network APIs and what do you have as outlook in 2024?
Absolutely. So, as I said, Vonage exists for many, many years. We've been in the industry of communication platform as a service for the past 15 years now, since the beginning, actually. And since the acquisition by Ericsson about 1.5 years ago, we have now brought our strategy to the next level on delivering what we call the global network platform. The global network platform is basically the expansion of the CPaaS ecosystem to a new generation of API that are directly exposing the new capabilities of 5G networks. And these capabilities allow to build what we call network-aware application. And over the 1.5 years since the acquisition, we've been extremely active in building the ecosystem, I would say building the supply, on making sure that we could be as successful with network APIs as we have been with communication APIs, on serving our community of developers, our 1.6 million developers in the world, with the same level of quality, I mean, in terms of documentation, in terms of tooling, but also in terms of simplicity. Because we all know that the telecommunication world is quite complex. I mean, you have hundreds of telcos in the world. You have a lot of technologies for voice, for SMS, and now for network APIs. So what we've been building and announcing also at MWC this year is now the availability of these network APIs in an aggregated way, so that developers, they don't have to pay attention to the details. They can develop really quickly. And specifically in Spain, and in Germany, now we have our first network APIs for SIM swap, for number verification, that are covering all the subscribers using the network of Telefónica, Deutsche Telekom, Orange, Vodafone. And it is just the beginning. Throughout the year, we are going to release more APIs, more coverage, and it's going to help to accelerate the adoption. However, I want to remind that this is just setting the stage. This is just the ecosystem. Now our focus is moving to creating value for the businesses on solving real-life problems.
So this is something that we totally agree on. So our collaboration is great because in AWS we believe that we work backwards from the business outcome and the value we add to customers. And the recent launch of the fraud protection solution has been very well positively seen. Congratulations on the launch. Tell us more about the fraud protection solution that you have.
Yeah, so I don't think I need to insist a lot on the fact that fraud protection is a very critical industry problem. Looking at the growth of digitalization over the past decade, the risk on the exposure of customer data on customer transactions to fraud has increased tremendously. And businesses are losing tens of billions of dollars every year because of fraud. So Vonage has always looked for improving the problem of fraud through capabilities like multi-factor authentication. That's a classic. Everybody is used to put codes on coming from SMS in an app. But the reality is that we realize that today it's not enough. We need to bring that to the next level, both in terms of, let's say, the quality of the protection, but also the convenience. Because if a solution is not convenient, people don't use it. If they don't use it, we go back to square one on the fraud happens. So when we looked into that fraud prevention solution, we have looked at the problem holistically. And we have looked at the different building blocks we had at our disposal, like SIM swap detection, like number verification, but also the assets of AWS, like facial recognition and machine learning with Amazon Bedrock. So what we have done is basically created an orchestration of these capabilities into a cohesive use case that businesses, regardless their industries, it can be for fintech obviously, but it can be also for commerce or other type of verticals, can use that orchestration and can really solve a real problem. So we started to receive some feedback, as you said, that have been very encouraging. And because we have been able, as I said earlier, to propose these capability with a good coverage across full geographies, like Germany and Spain to start with, we are able to let developers solve these problems at scale.
So this has been a great showcase. I mean, in MWC24, you see a lot of excitement about the capability of exposing network assets and control to developers and customer enterprises. But there's been always a talk about the value of the customer. So how do we actually use this? And the solution that Vonage built about fraud protection is exactly a great showcase with a unique value of how do you combine the network capabilities, network assets, with the assets of the AWS cloud to provide the outcome and the business need for end customers. Another very unique aspect of the solution is that it leverages GenAI, so Amazon Bedrock. Tell us more. How do you think about GenAI, and how would it play a role in such new solutions?
Yeah, so when you go into the detail of fraud protection, you realize that life is not black or white. Life is gray. And being able to anticipate, to detect malicious behavior on different type of attacks requires to learn, requires to analyze the data, to find patterns in the behavior, and that's what generative AI is very good at. So what we have done is basically we have taken a Vonage product that is called Fraud Defender, that allows to make this kind of prediction and analysis of behavior. And we have powered it with Amazon Bedrock to create much more granular rules based on a closed loop learning of behavior. So that's extremely exciting. But again, this is a chain of API. Just one API is not enough, because once you have, let's say, the suspicious behavior, you need to resolve that. Sometimes you may have to validate with the user that is a legit user of that use case. For example, if you detect a SIM swap, sometimes SIM swap is necessary. You lose your phone, you ask for a new SIM card, and SIM swap is real. So in order to, let's say, remove the doubt of fraud, you need to raise the bar and ask for a more advanced type of authentication, like facial recognition. So as I said, orchestration is the key, is using the right API at the right time and making it extremely easy for developers.
I totally agree with you. It seems, or it looks like this solution is the center of innovation. It takes the latest of technology from network assets, network APIs, generative AIs, Vonage's software capabilities, and it combines them into something that is very, very valuable for customers. As you said, Guillaume, it's just a start. Yeah. I'm sure there would be so many solutions coming up in the future out of our collaboration. Tell us a bit more what you have in mind in 2024 and beyond.
Yeah, so innovation can come from anywhere. Our job is to make the use cases possible, but it's extremely hard to predict everything that's going to happen downstream. So the innovation that is brought by 5G network can be categorized in three big buckets. There is the knowledge of the device, There is the knowledge of the topology on the location, and there is the knowledge of the resources, the bandwidth, the latency, etc. With these three types of knowledge, that's where you can really build network-aware application that can extract that meaning from the network and make it really useful. So the domain of application are extremely vast, and fraud came to us as the obvious number one choice, but it's not going to stop there, as you said. So we are looking, for example, at all the application related to location API. Location is not a new discipline. I mean, people use location using on GPS devices, but it comes at a cost of processing, cost of power. And when you do location from the network, it opens up many new possibilities, like in the IoT, in the logistics domain. Also in the fraud prevention domain, sometimes you need to be able to validate that a transaction, a payment is happening at the right place. And you want to ask the network to check that location, not the device, because the device can be hacked. You need to do that in the trusted side of the network. So lots of other applications in the security space. When it comes to quality on demand, that is a very, very new area that we are just scratching the surface of. There are lots of applications that are starting with gaming. Gaming is a huge industry on being able to do gaming with a mobile device from different locations is requiring a very granular control on the network resources. Streaming, if you are a social influencer on Twitch or TikTok and you want to stream from a specific place at a specific time, you need to be able to book your network slice. But you need to do it without being a developer. It needs to be natively integrated into your application. So lots of benefits there. And finally, an industry in which Vonage is very active is healthcare. Healthcare is very demanding and very mission critical when it comes to telehealth, to patient monitoring, to control of quality of video. And it's also an industry that is looking into the application of network APIs.
It's definitely an exciting space, and we are excited, and we are looking forward to work together, collaborate on more use cases, more business outcomes to our customers, our joint customers. Thank you very much for walking us through the journey of the solution. Congratulations once more on the solution launch, and can't wait to see what's coming next out of our collaboration. Thank you once more.
Thank you, Arsany.